and happiness we are trying to bring to the deoccupied territories and areas, please go on. So what is taking place now? We have some technical issues. I would like our technical support team to call you back because we do not hear you. Yes, and just in a moment we'll get in touch with you again.
Перепрошую, можете перезайти в Zoom, будь ласка? Вийти і ще раз зайти. Дякую.
So, Natalia, we're coming back again. Natalia, so let us go on. Yes, I hear you. Perfect. So let us go on. So what is the official information about the events which are taking place today in the south of Ukraine? As for now, our units are conducting positional battles and fights and are establishing on the areas where they are located. We go on destroying the reserves of the enemy. We go on keeping under control the transport ways along which they are trying to bring some of the reserves. We are going on destroying their command points and the places of the concentration of their staff and equipment. That is about the decrease of forces and capacities of the enemy. Natalia, could you please tell, how do we assess the number of Russians who found out themselves at the right bank of the Dnieper River? What's the number? Was either semi-circulated or cut off the deliveries? How many of them? There are enough of them to go on with their combats and for us to cope with them. Could you please tell, did the behavior of the Russians change after our offensive? What could be their despair, rage? Maybe they are lost? Has anything changed among the occupiers? I can mention that the well-trained decreased morale, which they were feeling during following weeks, even during their defense positions, which they established before, is just now increasing and disseminating as a virus, because they can see each other, they can see the units which as if are the reserve, and they need to in fact be a new kind of force, but in fact they just transfer some of the units from one geographical location to another one. This is the imitation of the reserves for them to come down, but they communicate with each other, and they do acknowledge that they are the same old units at the same areas of the front line. So they go on dreaming to get a slight injury and then to come back home. Can we still approve the liberation of some of the settlements? And if yes, then which? We do not announce about the liberation of the settlements with the humanitarian aim, because these settlements are instantly under the aircraft and artillery strikes of the adversary. We need to understand that. Everybody has to understand that, and not to haste with this information. Just after the settlements are totally far from the enemy and cleansed from the remnants of the occupiers, and when our troops are moving forward as much as it's possible to secure all the civilians who are living there, only then we can announce the liberation of those settlements. If we do that earlier, it could be a huge or maybe even fatal mistake. As for the civilians, which are the recommendations, specific recommendations to the Ukrainians who are located at the occupied territories? And how can they secure, or how can they make their life safe and secure? All of the occupied territories cannot be the same. They cannot be in the same status. So each of the residents has to take his or her own decision on his or her own. The situation is totally different everywhere. If there is an opportunity to evacuate, the perspective, and if the perspective is rather secure, you should use such an opportunity and leave the zone of active combat warfare, or the perspective of the development of the active combats. So you should really leave those areas and wait in the secure place. But we do understand that it won't be possible for everyone, because in Kherson region, for instance, all of the exits are totally closed and cut off, that people cannot just physically leave. In this case, we are conducting communication for a long time, so you need to find some shelter where you can wait through the active combat with some of the reserves of food and water, the first necessity belongings, and the necessary medicines. This is the minimum which you need to create, and just to hide for about 3 or 4 days, waiting through the situation which can develop directly in your settlement. We also have the questions from the journalists, please. Ukrinform, Marina Kožuchar. Did the activation of combats in the south impact the work of the grain corridors in Odessa region? Thank you for the question. The work of the grain corridors is going on with the plan which was predefined. At this stage, it is provided by the guarantees of the United Nations and Turkey, and also the signees of the obligations which are borne by Ukraine and Russian Federation. So all of the corridors are working according to the predetermined schedule. Their work has never changed so far. Thank you so much. We had Natalia Humeniuk, head of UnitedCoordinating PressCenter of Security and Defense Forces of South of Ukraine, who told us about the situation as of now in the south of Ukraine. Thank you. See you.